Hello, and welcome to Adventures with Grandma Bonnie. I'm so glad you joined me today. We are going to share the adventures today about stone soup. Have you ever heard of the story Stone Soup? Well, you're about to hear a new one, a new version, and it involves a wonderful graphic by Kendra. George and Amelia operate Thayer Air Transport Service in Chile. They regularly fly a route all over Chile in their old 1965 twin-engine Beechcraft King Air. Engine trouble forced them to crash land in the mountains. Not familiar with the area, they set off to find help. They traveled for 3 days, sleeping on the ground at night. Finally, on the 4th day, they came across a fertile valley and a small village.
Look, I can see a village way down there in the valley.
I see it too. It looks like such a friendly place, doesn't it?
I certainly hope it is. We've been walking for more than 3 days. Maybe they will help us.
3 nights sleeping on the hard, cold ground. I'd get just about anything for a soft bed to sleep on and a warm meal.
Don't worry, Amelia. I'm sure we'll find something to eat in the village, and you'll have your soft bed too.
The village people had seen them coming and were very leery of strangers coming into their remote town. They worked all spring and summer gathering and harvesting all they could before harsh winter arrived. They were surrounded by rich, fertile farmland and grassy pastures that allowed them to plant and harvest much needed food and raise cattle, sheep, pigs, and chickens to go along with the bountiful supply of fresh vegetables. They had plenty to eat, but outsiders were not welcome. The villagers were afraid that strangers would steal everything they had worked for. Whenever strangers approached, they would quickly hide all the animals, food, and any sign of wealth. They had become very stingy and did not want to share anything with strangers. I smell a fresh baked apple pie.
Me too. And am I hungry?
As they walked into the village, Amelia went up to a man who was crossing the street. Please, sir, my partner and I are in desperate need of help. Our plane ran out of fuel and we had to crash land in the mountains. We haven't had anything to eat or drink for days. We would be grateful for a hot meal and a place to sleep.
I'm sorry, I can't help you. I have no extra beds, and I have no food.
George and Amelia were heartbroken at his response. They knocked on every door, and the answer was always the same.
We have no food. We have no room. Go away.
Whatever will we do now? Amelia slumped down on a bench in the town square. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she put her face in her hand. Oh.
I don't know. I feel sorry for these people if they're as bad off as they say. It seems strange that they would have such rich-looking fields for planting and a nice fresh stream to provide water for irrigation for them not to have at least some food. And just look at all the pasture land. Where are all the cattle and pigs? Perhaps they are lying to us. If that is so, they must have hearts of stone. That gives me an idea, Amelia. Do you remember the story of stone soup?
George stood in the middle of town square and hollered.
Soup for everyone!
The villagers slowly gathered around.
What's the meaning of this? Sir, this is an emergency. We've knocked on every door and we've talked to anyone who would listen. Your town is as poor and as hungry as we are.
Now's the perfect time to make stone soup.
Soup? From stones? Stone soup indeed.
The crowd began to laugh as they imagined such a thing. Some of the villagers began to leave and go back home.
My father created stone soup many, many years ago and passed the recipe on to me. You see, when you know how to make stone soup, you will never go hungry.
Give us a chance. All we need from you is a large kettle and ladle.
All right, we'll get you a huge kettle and a ladle for your stone soup, but it's got to feed the whole village. Let's see if these two strangers can feed the whole town with stones.
Soon George and Amelia had a huge kettle filled with water and a roaring fire under it. In no time at all, the water was boiling. George picked up 3 large smooth stones he found nearby.
You have just the right kind of stones in your village for stone soup.
Amelia wiped the dirt from each stone and dropped them into the kettle with a splash. As the water in the kettle continued to boil, it wasn't long before the crowd grew restless.
Where's the stone soup you promised us?
You can't hurry good stone soup. Stones are very hard. It takes a lot of cooking to make them tender and juicy. At last, George went to the steaming pot and dipped in the ladle. He blew on the soup to cool it. Ooh, I could just see him doing that. A hush fell over the crowd. Those watching began to lick their lips, in anticipation of a tasty bite of stone soup.
This stone soup is so tasty, even when it's plain like this. Let me have some. Oh, not yet. I think it needs a little salt and pepper.
An older woman in the crowd heard this and hurried home for the salt and pepper. While she was in her kitchen, she grabbed some fresh herbs that were growing in her kitchen window garden. Amelia sprinkled salt, pepper, and the herbs into the bubbling kettle.
Stone soup is so much better when it has a few carrots in it, and maybe a cabbage or two.
I have bushel baskets of carrots, cabbage, and onions. I'll run and go fetch them. When she returned, George and Amelia quickly chopped up the bushels of carrots, cabbage, and onions and threw them into the kettle. George, doesn't our stone soup look just a bit thin? It could use a little milk, don't you think? Just then, another woman remembered she had some extra milk in the cellar. Off she went and brought back a huge bucket brimming with fresh milk. George and Amelia poured the milk into the kettle and stirred the soup. The wonderful aroma wafted through the entire village as more people continued to gather around the kettle. Stone soup is just not quite the same without potatoes. You guessed it. Another farmer said he might be able to find a few potatoes in his root cellar. Soon he showed up with a basket full of potatoes and an armload of fresh bread, saying it might be good with the stone soup. Seeing all that fresh bread, a farmer's wife remembered she had just churned some fresh creamy butter that morning. Oh my, wouldn't that be yummy, she thought. Off she went to fetch her tasty butter and to add to the stone soup feast. Atta girl. George and Amelia peeled the potatoes, cut them up, and tossed them into the kettle.
It's almost perfect. All we would need to make this soup fit for a king is a little meat. Then it would be perfect. It sure does smell good. I'll bet I can find a few extra pieces of meat in my butcher's shop. I'll be right back.
In no time at all, he was back with both arms wrapped around a huge chunk of beef. George and Amelia cut it up and carefully placed it in the bubbling soup. The wonderful smell from the soup kettle was making the whole town hungry. The village mayor proclaimed himself to be the official taste tester.
I can't wait another minute.
As he picked up a spoon and dipped it into the soup, the crowd grew quiet.
Why, this is truly the most wonderful soup I've ever tasted. And imagine, there's nothing in it but stones and water.
How proud they were of their accomplishment. The whole town decided to have a feast in honor of the two strangers who made the soup from stones. Chairs and tables were set out in the square. Fresh cider and all sorts of cakes and pies appeared from nowhere. The townspeople ate and drank long into the night. When the last drop of stone soup was gone, the innkeeper took George and Amelia to the inn. He gave them his best room. Quickly they fell asleep in soft beds at last. The next morning, everyone in the village turned out to see George and Amelia on their way.
You've taught us a wonderful lesson. How can we ever thank you?
By welcoming all hungry travelers that pass through your village and serving them stone soup. The villagers were no longer afraid of strangers, and to this day, the little village is known the world over for its generosity and big heart. George and Amelia had given the village the recipe for stone soup, and a recipe for kindness, too. Have you ever made stone soup? You could pretend it was stone soup and play in your little garden and find 3 stones, or you could help a grown-up make some soup and maybe find 3 stones to put in it, but make them small because you won't have that big of a kettle. The idea is to share, and I hope you learn to share from this story. If you would like to put different seasonings in it, you certainly can, but remember it is to share. Thanks for joining. I hope you come again, and don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe, it helps our channel so much. And also, we know we'd like to see you again, so leave a comment if you can. Take care and have a great day. And if it's cold outside, it'd be a great time for stone soup. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.